Welcome back there, everybody. We're coming into our third and final matchup of day number 1 of week number 4. My hold shift with me is Mick, and we're going over to the Pacific region as we're dealing with the Arizona State Maroon squad going up against the Colorado Frost. They're affiliated with the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs, and both teams are actually finding themselves in a very important match here, Mick, in the standings overall for this Division A of the Pacific region. You got 5-2 for Colorado Frost and 5-1 for Arizona State. That was, of course, before they played their opening matchups versus both Colorado Black and Oregon Green, both teams finding losses in that matchup.
Yeah, and these guys right here, we do see both 5 wins from both teams. So obviously, ASU is going to be looking to either put Frost on a bigger deficit than these guys right now, or they're increase their lead. And Frost is looking to take the lead here. Obviously, trying to close out that 5-1 as well. They do have 2 losses on the board, and compared to these guys' ones, but with that, that's exactly a reason for them to go ahead and get that initiative and buff it out with another win.
And taking a look as far as how these teams are going to have their schedules to finish things off, Colorado Frost have played through the Arizona Wildcats. They lost that matchup, but on the other side, for Arizona State Maroon, they have not played that matchup yet. So if they were to lose against this Colorado Frost team here and potentially lose the Arizona Wildcats, some weird stuff can happen to the top cut near the bottom. On the other side, for the Colorado Frost, their only major opponent still waiting for them is New Mexico State, who is currently playing on the B stream versus Cal State Long Beach Gold. That one is currently seeing New Mexico State up 1-0. So again, we've got a little bit of an interesting debacle going on between the third and really the 6th spot right now overall in Division A of this Pacific region. Boise State at 3-3 and GCU Purple at 3-4 are technically still in a position to where if things go their way and they win out, they could actually get into that top cut to close things out. So an important matchup, really largely what I'm saying here, more so for Colorado Frost than it is for Arizona State Maroon, but still an important match no matter which way you split it.
Yeah, and mentioning on what you said about these guys competing for a top spot right now, I know a lot of these teams are in huge leads here and things of the likes of that, but overall, everything's still completely up in the air. We still only have 1 or 2 weeks left, but I mean, regardless of that, that's 1 or 2 wins and losses right there for every single team to make a difference. So that could be the difference between some teams going ahead and getting cut out in this, in the next area. If they sit there and get themselves set up to be in the split 2, being in the bottom part or the top part, depending on where they need to be and where they feel they had the best chance. And, there's a lot of factors going to this forward. And I think, this is the area of the season where all these teams are discussing not only how they're going to perform in game, but where they need to be placing themselves on this bracket and increase their odds.
So taking a look, we are going to be loading into map number 1. It's going to be a crossroads hard point up first. Not a lot of results to go off of, largely for either of the two teams when it comes to that hard point specifically, although taking that kind of tally, you've got both teams actually are currently flawless on this map mode combination. 1-0 for Arizona State Maroon, Colorado Frost enjoying a 2-0 differential. So one of these two squads will face their potential first loss right here on this crossroads hardpoint. Then we'll have the Miami Search and Destroy for the second map, and then Raid will be our map number 3 Control. It would also be our second hardpoint and our second Search and Destroy if we need it. But let's get into map number 1 first and foremost. The Colorado Frost out of Colorado Springs and the Arizona State Maroon Devils coming into play here in Effectini, Germ, Astrozi, Initachi. It's going to be the lineup for Arizona State Maroon, where Metro, Neon, Kodiaks, and Proplex will be the floor for Colorado Frost.
We see a really quick setup right here from Colorado Frost. A good job holding these guys down, making sure to watch these angles, find ways. And we do see Neon doing a really good job of pushing right here, sadly getting picked off. But overall, these guys finding ways to kind of play a little slow here on hardpoint from what we've usually seen. We see a couple guys being aggressive here, but overall, it looked like they were trying to maintain a passive approach while the other team was making more of aggression and trying to frag onto that point a lot.
Well, an initial debate over the first hardpoint will come out as Colorado Frost the victors. The problem is they need to also now turn their attention over towards what's happening in the lower annex for second hardpoint. FXTD able to find 1 elimination. He's a 5-1 start overall. Kodiaks, I think, saw Astro deep by what was the A bomb site at one point in time over by Ice. And this is actually a pretty solid zone for the Sun Devils. The problem is they've allowed the Colorado Frost to make their way through the street. It's going to force the spawns around. Tachi's got to go big. He does find 2, and Astro will find the 3rd. And things will largely stabilize for now, but the Colorado Frost still have numbers for another attempt.
And Colorado doing a great job here finding these rotations, making sure to lock these guys down as best as possible. As we see Metro gets a 2-piece right there. Overall, these guys in point two, you don't have as much of a choice when it comes to encountering people. You can run around the point as much as you want if you're ASU, but the thing is you have to go on that point eventually. And it's a lot more open than that first one because you do have that truck right there in the center. You know, if you're a player who doesn't really like getting into gunfights, you just want to win the game and get these points on the board, you can totally just sit there if you want to and get those points on the board. But point two is a lot more open. You know, you can force yourself into some corners, but overall, you're going to be run to encounters.
Well, the Frost do break on in for the large majority of the scrap time. They'll be enjoying about a 60-point lead as we go over to the third hill, and Metro's already here trying to contest. Neon as well, also trying to put some effort, but all three members for the Frost do get taken down, so Arizona State will start generating some additional time here in the third hill.
Yeah, we're going to see them already being ready to rotate. ASU kind of cutting their losses with point two, saying, okay, these guys obviously know what they're doing right here, so let's back up a little bit. Let's get ourselves over to this P3. Let's kind of lock down on this and try our best. But Germ, you know, sadly not there to capitalize and get enough picks on the side because he's watching all these areas where Colorado Frost isn't coming from.
Well, he was on 4 kills in a row, just a little bit short of streaks. The Sun Devils now stretching to above 50 points. The Frost have not seen a single second worth of hard time in their favor yet for this fire garage. Astro and Itachi will make sure that does stay the case. Number 6 in Neon will try to work his way in, and as he does, he finds 1 kill. Needs to get a second off screen, and as he comes forward, F15, puts him down. Metro also trying to make a play through ice, will also be shut down there as well. So, with that in mind, ASU able to kind of reduce the deficit down to roughly about 35 points or so, and now it's just down to, can they hold on to the initial time of P4? Jeremy for 2, Itachi another, and that will be, again, the Sun Devils holding strong in this initial attempt to the Colorado Frost.
You know, I'm sure that's exactly what these guys are looking for when you're in this situation. You're on the opposite side of the map. You're basically held down into an area, especially when it's just so one-sided and it's locked down. You know exactly where everybody's going to be coming from. You only have 2 directions to look, left and right, and when you're on this point right here. This is exactly what ASU's looking for. They had the site locked down as best they could. They were doing fairly well in holding it out because they could have gotten full time on this, but you know, Colorado's just seeming to, you know, get these picks a lot better, clearing everything out, allowing them to get a couple more points on the board, but they can take that sacrifice with the lead they had. And then we now see that Pro is the one on the point, and he's kind of holding that down as these guys are already getting set up for that next point because at this stage, they're really just, they feel like they're smooth sailing.
Arizona State had an opportunity maybe get 120 straight seconds, but the break from the Colorado Frost gets them right back into the lead, but it's only a marginal one. Down to nearly 30 points, and the Sun Devils are currently on this first hill, generating a lot of score at the moment. Itachi reads that Metro's nearby. There are more Frost members, though, coming, and as he turns his back, he's going to be trusting that Jeremy can lock things down, and I don't even think Godfather sent out a single bullet from that backside of tires, definitely letting his teammate down there. He's completely prone. I mean, Jeremy, what are you doing? Frost will find the easy kill, and that will mean that there's a break for the hard point, and they've got numbers to get over to the back of P2.
Yeah, this is overall, I mean, these guys, their gunplay is great, but it's just really interesting sometimes, especially watching that P1 and how much time Arizona State had right off the bat. We saw, it almost looks like these guys aren't even playing competitive. They're just going in for kills, doing a very good job of fighting out here and there and everywhere. But overall, sometimes it's seeming like these guys, as a team, they're forgetting that the hard point's there every now and then.
It's just so weird because you saw there for a moment the one Arizona State member on the point itself, and Itachi gives up the outer area of P1. I have to imagine that Jeremy said, I'm on your tires, I'll watch your outer, but he was prone, wiggling around, no idea. And that now leads to an awkward gunfight over towards containers. Jeremy finds a couple of kills, Astro gets one more. And then we now have the Arizona State Sentinels breaking in for a large majority of time at the moment. Need to deal with this hit from the Frost from the front. It's a 2-for-2 exchange. Kodiak's dropping, though, now tilts the favor into Arizona State's corner. And the last player alive is Metro. He will also drop. So 4 kills in a row for Jeremy. With that, the Sun Devils take the lead and likely also scrap up this back time here with 20 seconds.
We saw so many members of Colorado Frost fighting around those areas. We even saw a couple of them winning in terms of that same spot. But overall, we do see a lot of gunfights going on around the port, and it doesn't seem like any of these guys are really trying to make a push onto the point. Once again, I mean, I don't want to insult these guys when I say this, but this feels like a public lobby. It feels like they're just trying to, you know, kill each other, see who gets the highest stats, and at the end of the day, that's what they're going to brag about too with each other. And it's
Mhm.
I'm in a super conflicting spot with this hardpoint game.
It's been scrappy, I think, to say the least. It looks like for right now, it will be ASU into the hard point, growing their marginal lead. But the Colorado Frost do have a split spawn situation. And as Kodiak's tried to make a play, Jeremy's able to shut it down. So the Sun Devils will retain the spawns right behind the third hill. And now it's down to, can they read this play from the front? Astro's the only player in. FXTD trying to watch over towards Isaac. He's got himself one streak. There's the second. And his job is now done as the Sun Devils need to turn their attention right back to that hard point. Like you keep mentioning, they need to get a way to either find these exit kills or get in to try to contest some of this time.
We see them going ahead and setting up for these spawns and setting up for the side because they know that the point's going to be coming over here. And we do see Itachi already set up on that point. And usually we'll see these guys, usually Colorado, last time we saw them take this point back over pretty quickly. And as long as they can speed it up this time around, they won it last time. Looks like they're going to win it back again this time. So, Arizona State did not learn from their mistakes last time around, allowing Colorado State once again or Colorado Frost, excuse me, to push in there and take this, even quicker than they did the first time. If anything, just allowing even more time on this point to be given up.
Well, the Sun Devils will contest. They break the spawns in with that. They will break this current tie by getting themselves right back into the lead. So an initial break for the Colorado Frost. Immediately responded to as Jeremy's going shopping for whatever weapons seem to be on the ground right now as he's swapping between every single weapon in the game, it feels like. Astro, Itachi, a couple of kills on rotation will mean that Arizona State will get above 200 first. And also, with these kills from Itachi, he should be in a position to make sure the initial time at this first hardpoint also tilts in favor of ASU Maroon.
Yeah, at this point, it's really weird to see Colorado Frost over there in the corner. We did see them, getting kind of shut down by Germ right there. They're all spawning in this area. Nobody's exactly worried about the man that's still on point, even though it's so close right there. And there's a man in there. They're not getting that time off. They're not giving themselves any discounts where they can. Instead, they're just kind of pushing for the point, just looking for these guys rather than looking for the point or looking at time overall. So I think, they have a chance, I feel like, here to come back with them being on this point right now. But overall, they have to just straighten themselves up in terms of what their objective is here.
All right, well, we're going to see a cruise missile be dropped just as Arizona State want to make sure that the Colorado Frost do not get to a position to where they could tie this game up. But immediately after they come out of this cover, it's a couple of straight kills for the team in blue. Neon hitting a route. He's going to work all the way around the backside of this truck, and that's going to be the spawns flipped around. Arizona State's trying to make a play through ice. Kodiak's is here, but can't win the first gunfight. Now down to Neon. He's trying to stay alive right around the garage. FXTD wants to make the play. The spam shots for Neon are good, but not good enough for the following contestant, and that will mean that Colorado Frost are in this game, but they still need to find an immediate break to P2 if they want to try to find a way to win it.
That we see these guys on the point right now. Only need a couple seconds. Looking like Arizona State could close this out right here on this point. Overall, I feel like this was winnable from both sides. I feel like it was a lack of focus from both teams in terms of how to get on that hard point. Worrying about that. Obviously, P3 being the most focal because that whole side of the map feels like it's the hard point. It's a little too obvious to miss. But with these other ones that are in the middle of the map and, that are right there on kind of these landmarks and these determining factors that are on crossroads, these guys are going to be sitting there. They're just brawling it out overall, just kind of running in circles and finding a way to maneuver around each other instead of somebody actually finding a way to hunker down and get those points consistently and find ways to duel on that hard point.
Look, it's really interesting. Someone, I think it was the JP Krez or someone from Breaking Point had mentioned the fact that the team that majoritarily wins P4 wins Crossroads, I think is a very solid point. But this is not a map that's like Hackney Yard where it's, okay, we got P2, let's get to the P5 side. All right, P5 is done. Let's get back over to P2. You've got 60 seconds to do that through the middle of the map on a hard point that really you can generate a lot of score if you're zoning it correctly. And the one, of course, that I mean is that first hill, not alone. Also the third one there as well, where it just kind of does seem like a lot of times these teams are thinking about the spawns more than they are necessarily the OBJ. You still have time to play for those spawns. And in 4v4, those spawns flip a little bit easier than they did last year in Modern Warfare because, let's be honest, the spawns are a bit more predictable. But 250, 211 will be the first score overall here for the Crossroads hardpoint in favor of Arizona State. It's Miami coming up next for the Search and Destroy. Nick, I got to get your thoughts here as far as how the map kind of flows for you comparatively to what we just saw, I guess, in the checkmate at least.
With Crossroads, comparatively, I love the way that everything goes about compared to Checkmate and with Crossroads overall. just both of them are a lot smaller maps, especially crossroads in comparison, because it's like, these guys, that's how the spawns were so predictable and how they were always constantly changing, because it feels like if you take 2 steps out of your spawn, you have a new one already made for you. So I feel like that's how overall that was a contributing factor to that. But in terms of compared to Checkmate, Miami puts both of them out of the water in terms of scale and map size, just how the map operates. There's so many more open areas. There's so many more opportunities to play the game slower, take a pace, because there's so many places. It's almost like, say, if you're playing Mike Myers, Miami will be the map you want to do it on, because there's so much space to run around and hide in. So with that, like, it just makes for some really interesting engagements to see how people can slow the game down, find these ways to kind of get these flanks, these infiltrations, and get the bomb down or retaliate the bomb, because there's so much space to kind of catch guys by surprise.
All I can take away from that point, not because it was all really good information, but now I'm just hoping for one day that we get like a Dead by Daylight and Call of Duty mashup to where we can kind of play it on Miami. That would be great. I'm here for it. I'm ready to buy it. Just let me know where I need to go to shop for it. We're loading on in, though. Map number 2 coming up. We'll see how this space forms as we get into this Miami Search and Destroy. Just kind of speaking on both of the teams at large here when it comes to this map mode combination overall. 2-1 are the Colorado Springs, Colorado Frost. And then for Arizona State, they've only played the map also just a single 2 times, and they're 1-1 overall. So kind of take from that what you will. Both teams have had moments where their search and destroy have been not exactly with the greatest. 3-3 overall for Arizona State, 4-2 for Colorado Frost. But again, this is a very important matchup. And this second map may be more important to Colorado Frost than we might be leaning on towards, because the last thing you want to do is try to reverse sweep versus an opponent like ASU Maroon.
Yeah. Overall, we do see these guys with Miami, and looking at it, we did see Colorado Frost with the advantage in terms of crossroads as well. So, I mean, they gave that up, and they don't want to sit there and find ways to where if they lose every single one of these, it almost feels like, if I'm in their position, it makes me feel weak seeing that, you can look at statistics all day, and it's like, well, we're facing Colorado Frost. What's it matter what their stats are? It's like they have a totally new roster than what they used to. So, we can go in there, we can sweep them easily. So I'm sure this is where they need to make a stand and show that they're not that team that you're, looking at sweeping all season going forward.
Indeed. I did hear a couple of sound cues. Not sure what's happening with our lobby at the moment. I know there have been some issues with the lobby not necessarily staying put together, and that seems to have been the case. Lobby has dropped away. So for at least right now, we'll just go ahead and maybe send things to just a brief, small pause just to make sure everything is okay. No one's having any disconnection problems, and we'll be jumping in with our squads with the Miami Search and Destroy coming up right after this. Welcome back there, everybody. We're jumping into the Miami Search and Destroy opening moments here as Arizona State is on the offense, looking to make a play over towards A. Neon, the only defender nearby, and, well, now even more so as Kodiak's, who was his supporting cast member, has also fallen. And how about this, Mick? It's going to be Arizona State Maroon getting the bomb down really quickly.
Yeah, especially on the A side, which is a lot much further of a run than you usually bargain for trying to go for B side over there. So these guys, they were on a mission, especially when you're trying to set it towards A. It's not really the kind of position where you can decide on it later, because it's such a long haul to get over there.
And now that they've got the back of the map completely in their control, Colorado Frost are in a really tough position to rotate over. Proplex falls. Metro going to make a lot of noise coming through the glass. Everybody and their mom heard that. And that will be the end of him. So Arizona State Maroon, after a quick attack over towards A, they find themselves a very complete and flawless first offensive round.
Yeah, whenever you're in this position of Colorado Frost right there, I feel like they were a little bit too slow to react there, because when you see not as much of an aggressive push over towards B site because it's so close, you have to go ahead and start thinking, okay, maybe we should get at least another man over there on A site right now, because that's probably where they're going. If they're not, well, then either we need to allocate a man to go forward and we should push into spawn, but we need to make a decision, because if they're not coming to B site, we're just wasting time here. So I feel like that was a little bit of delay of reaction there, and that's what kind of put them in the back, because Arizona State already had control over there on A by the time they got to there.
Well, now they're trying to get control over the parking garage as Itachi is going to be making a play forward with Effectini. Metro trying to stay alive with the bomb. Neon's here to help him, but they've already lost first blood as Proplex drop. Kodiak from the top side of Piano finds an instant elimination, giving us a 3v3. Itachi, he's been seen. Literally nowhere for him to go. He'll drop, and the Colorado Frost now in a 3v2. One more player nearby is Astro. He'll also drop, and that'll mean that the Frost can plant.
Yeah, we finally see these guys. Germ in a really rough situation right here. This man's looking to defend a bomb and being the sole kind of driving force for it, but not able to sit there and have enough gas to drive with. So overall, getting locked down right there is a really tough situation. But all in all, putting Colorado Frost in a situation where, it's a 1-1. So showing that they can make up for that mistake they had last round, putting themselves into an even game here.
Okay, so 2 convincing offenses. For Arizona State over towards A, for the Colorado Frost over towards B. Now it just comes down to what's going to happen next. Will we start seeing more aggression from ASU Maroon? Will we see them maybe hold up just a bit? You have to keep in mind that Jeremy was watching that long cross up top in hotel with what was like a 3-time scope on the Krig. That's still on board for him.
Yeah, this man, he's likely. He's like missing these snipers. Yeah, he's missing the snipers. He's like, I'll do what I can. Maybe even has semi-auto on. Oh, no, he didn't offer that. But overall, we see this. It's an interesting take, nonetheless. I mean, it's something different and something for us to talk about, at least.
Astro keeps things interesting as he finds 1 kill. Oh, Jeremy. Not going to find the kill on the Kodiak's. Astro also dropping means that now Jeremy is up top by himself, no bomb nearby, and Colorado Frost defense, they hold very tightly, largely right around the parking garage.
And I think that's on part because Arizona State never really made a push. When you do have a man like Germ over there, you're thinking he's running, an op of some kind. He's not exactly, it didn't exactly work in his favor. When you're running with such a hard kick right there, obviously, if you don't have the time to play with the gun, if you haven't done it in the past, running ACOGs or things of the likes of that, it's a rough learning curve overall. So I feel like, when you're having a man not able to contribute to these close quarter fights and to get these easy trades, and you have him just kind of buying time on the outside, it's not going to allow you to make an initiative towards any kind of sight, allowing to get that bomb down or even force gunfights.
Speaking of forcing gunfights, Itachi seems to want to force one once again outside by Piano. Effectini moving very quickly through curve. He's already behind this play, and as Itachi finds first blood, all of the Frost will be worried about trying to get the trade. Of which Itachi almost gifts away, but Neon gets caught in a weird position, and that means now all of a sudden Arizona State are in a 4v2.
I mean, do you see they need to sit there and get the bomb down at this point? I'll be considering a rotation of some kind of Metro. Not doing a rotation of sights, just around a van, it looks like. But not enough to get out of it because when you're in that situation of a 2v3, 2v4, you need to look, hey, we need to cut our losses. We gotta get out of here because they know they're looking for us. They know where we are. And if we just stand here, we are just sitting ducks at this point. We need to find a way to maneuver around. Either we need to play this site down, adjust ourselves differently, so whenever they do try and infiltrate and when they try and rush into where we were, we're sitting there waiting for them, turning them into the prey at that point, and we can switch this around, or just saying, all right, let's get rid of this completely, go to the next site and get this bomb down, really depending on whether you're a kill type of player or whether you're an objective-based player. And look at these guys being kill players. They just didn't spread out quick enough in order for them to get the turn on these guys.
Well, 2-2 we go. Very fair so far. But how about this hit? Arizona State is going to take the bomb through the middle courtyard to A. And you don't often see that for reasons like that. FXT is taken down to 15 health. He does get there, and he's able to get the bomb planted. And with that, the rest of Arizona State. Oh, I was about to say, if he hops the bomb, maybe a chance for a ninja. But now everyone knows that Neon's nearby. Jeremy is playing safe. We'll find the kill, and it comes down just to Proplex for 1v3.
We always love seeing those ninjas when they get around to it, man. But ASU, nonetheless, showing that, they can play some defense once they... Everybody just showing strong offense. It's really weird how Arizona State, once they get around, on defense, they just don't do that hot. Everybody's doing really good on offense. But you got to carry that same mentality of just think of yourself playing offense, but you got the bomb down. Like, that's all you really have to do, because we do see these guys doing very well once they get the bomb down, always winning. So far, having 100% win rate when they get that bomb down. So that's what, as long as I can focus that and keep that same mentality of setting up around those points, knowing where these guys are and getting the best idea of where they're going to be and how they're setting up, I mean, you're putting these same shoes. So just figure out where they are, hunt them down at that point, and, close this game out for yourselves. Because overall, they're looking good right now with that.
Tachi, aggressive play through the middle of the street, takes down Neon, who did not expect that whatsoever. Effectini again playing through the bottom of Hotel. He'll find Metro, but the bomb is not a part of this play. The Frost have it leaning over towards A, but the problem is they're at a 2v4. Although Arizona State are heavy-handed towards thinking that this is going to be a B play, there's nobody here, and they should have recognized that by now.
Because these guys are already long gone at this point. We did have those two guys pushing over towards B. We see Proplex and Kodiak's pushing towards A, but it looks like they're just taking things as slow as possible. When you sit there and you're trying to rotate points, you're either going to have men set up or you're not. So you can take it slow all day, but if you don't check all those corners, quicker and quicker and get that pushed out, then it's not really going to matter. And we do see, it not mattering that the fact that Colorado Frost has that bomb down, because Arizona State finally adapted the idea of, hey, we do great on this A site. If they want to go push it and they want to defuse, we're the masters of locking down this A site bomb once the bomb's down. So we just need to sit there, set ourselves up the exact same way. We know where they're going to be because we know how to win these gunfights and where we're going to be. So overall, just right there, it felt like Colorado Frost almost giving Arizona State a free round right there because they really know how to put themselves on that site.
It's just so strange that you've got, again, the bomb lingering towards A, and nobody sees FXTD come through to bottom side Hotel. I mean, that just seems like a mistake. You have to be watching that. Nobody had a cross angle for Itachi as he played through the middle of the map right down to the front side of Piano. It just seemed like there were too many gaps that were missing, and now you've got the potential threat of Itachi earning himself streaks, but they look like they're turned off, at least for right now. He is on 5 in a row, and is making a play with a 74U outer to the Catamaran, and if you don't take by my puzzling sounds, it's confusing to see this is the setup right now for both teams largely.
The fact that, Colorado Frost isn't even considering A-side right now. Itachi's having a free push right now. Nobody's watching out there towards Beachside. The only one that's really there is Neon, and he doesn't seem to care all that much. Totally just running past the window right there, having no kind of recollection, remembering there's a whole side of the map on the other side of him. So, just almost giving a free push for Itachi right here, and this man can sweep all these guys out if he takes advantage of this.
Gets one. Will get away. No trade will be there, but it's a 2v3 with 130 seconds to play up top. Astro, maybe an opportunity, but no. The Colorado Frost members win their ones, and we go back to a one-round differential, 4-3 overall. And all right, so we're not seeing perfect search and destroy. That's absolutely clear. But in terms of what we're getting at the moment, it just feels like a lot of the offenses are kind of heavy-handedly hitting a one-dimensional push, and they're missing angles from behind them. It's 2 separate times that we've seen some pretty heavy defensive flanks come through and largely win the round.
Yeah, and it's interesting that Arizona State didn't opt to, switch out those sites right there, because we have seen them doing a very good job on A, just overall winning almost every single site over there. So whenever you see Itachi pushing that site, we saw he didn't have the bomb, but at that point, if I was in his shoes, I will be screaming at the man with the bomb to say, hey, come on. Like, we have this site every single time. We're doing well so far. I'm already in here. Like, I'm basically living on this A-bomb right now, and nobody's here. Either I have to go make a flank and catch up with the rest of these guys on B site, which is what he had to do, or he just has to go ahead and lock down A, which the only man over there was Neon. So, he much rather be a help to his teammates than a hindrance to the other team right now.
Wouldn't you guess it, Mick? Effectini once more is on the flank right through the same angle. No one has seen him make this route, any of the last 3 defenses that we've seen from Arizona State. So he's still sleuthing his way through the back. Colorado Frost looking to push forward. 1v1 between Jeremy and Neon. Not going to come through in favor of Colorado. So now you're down to underneath time. Proplex will be taken down now 0-8. And Metro for a 1v3. He does have the bomb in hand. He could just wrap this right over to A and get a plant off to give him a look at it. And that will indeed be the case.
I see finally going over here. Metro making his last stand right here. When you're stuck in this situation, we do see him having to play the bomb, but I think he only opted for that because he saw, I only have like 4 seconds left, so I need to do something with this. So almost feeling like he's forced to put down the bomb. Meanwhile, we see these other 2 guys almost forgetting that the bomb was planted, thinking that Strozzi there could just close it out, waiting for him to get that kill, and once he doesn't get it, they sit there and finally decide, okay, maybe we should do something now.
Well, this timing is actually great for Metro. He's right behind this play. Gets up through the windows onto the balcony now. Bomb is being defused. He does see FXT to the left. You got to check the bomb, though. Halfway defused already. Onto the bomb it goes. Metro finds the kill. Needs to stay alive, and yeah, he does just enough. No chance for the defusal to come through off the clock, and the Colorado Frost will tie up this map 4-4.
Wow. That was something. The fact how everything rolled out in those last couple seconds, I thought for a second there Frost wasn't going to get it. I thought Metro wasn't going to get that when he put that bomb down because you sat there. It was such an interesting aspect for him to, get around. He didn't pick that bomb quick enough. Instead, he looked back towards their spawn, thinking a man's going to come over there. But it's like, if somebody was going to be coming to the site, they'd be on the bomb already, bud. Like, nobody's worried about going back to spawn at this point. Nobody's trying to go for long engagements. They don't expect you to be back over there by docks or boat. They're expecting you to be around this bomb, so you need to be looking that way, netting it out, using that utility to the best of your options to go ahead and check that out and make your life easier so you don't get spotted. The only thing they can see is a little trail of smoke from the frag you just threw.
All right, well, here comes ASU again towards A. Colorado Frost stacked largely towards the B side. The only player here is Neon. He does see the top of Ectactini, not going to take any shots. Wants to wait for help, and help is indeed on the way. It's going to be Kodiak's the next person in. Will find the first blood. No trade from Astro as he's also taken down. They know that Jeremy's going to play long range. Beautiful shots from Neon. Just down to Itachi. Sees one crossing. Knows that he needs to check the bomb at some point in time. Gets Neon up top. Here comes the diffuser. Going to be able to find the timing, but not the angle. Kodiak jumps off the bomb, gets the kill, and the Colorado Frost win 3 in a row, and they're on map point.
Finally finding their stride, knowing that Arizona State, they're kind of doing the same thing around the A site. Every single time they're going to get a feel for that side over there. And if they're not, B, it doesn't look like they're very proficient when it comes to switching those sides. So I think Colorado Frost was finally ready to know how to deal with these guys on A site. They had a lot more prior setup, knowing that if they have more men allocated over there, they have a better chance. Not stacking as many on B site, having a quicker reaction when it comes to rotating, and that overall showing and rewarding them with that point on the board because that's what they needed right here.
Well, Colorado Frost, some way, somehow, have gotten themselves the map point, even though Proplex is 0-9. He's going to be the tip of the spear here, trying to push his way forward. He's got an AR in hand, and once again, FXT, same route. But this time, oh man, so that's the timing that we've largely seen. He runs right through the middle of the street, doesn't even go outer, doesn't even look outer. And apparently the Colorado Frost have said, we're fine letting FXT get behind us. Nobody look at the middle of the map, and let's just go ahead and apply the bomb.
Yeah, this is where Arizona State's got to step up. Germ's already over here on this site, and he needs to be looking for picks here. He saw Kodiak's, maybe? He definitely saw Neon right there, letting him slip by him somehow. And he's maybe just going for this ninja diffuse, licking him Henderson out.
It's good. Astro's
You're
watching
serious.
over the top. He's just going to sneak it. No one even looks at it.
No way, man!
Can we
No
please?
way!
Oh my goodness.
What is going on? What? This is CCL.
I feel like both of these teams could put 8 members on the field and there would still be holes.
Oh my god!
The amount of times that we've seen both of these squads slip through one another. What in the world? Round 11. Proplex found a kill. He's 1-9. We can get off that topic and now go to Colorado Frost and their offense. Will it be the same route again? Look at number 1. Here comes Effectini. Right down the lane. Nobody's looking at this. Please check your left. Effectini, though, is going to actually stay his ground.
Yes,
Trying to play for kills. He does find first blood. Jeremy another, and this is looking like it's a 4v2 situation that Arizona State should be able to close out.
Oh, bad fry right there, bud. But you know exactly where he's at. You may want to push that, have an idea of where these guys are, hold these angles. Colorado Frost not really moving too far out of spawn. These guys are held up in hotel, it looks like right now, and not really worried about this bomb at all. It seemed as if Kodiak and Proplex were the 2 guys to be relied to go out. And, once they didn't perform, these guys are kind of stuck with knowing what to do and taking the longest route possible to get back over to that bomb, which is on the other side of the map.
Your astonished voice said enough, I think. That was a very interesting search and destroy. Round 11 win for Arizona State after a ninja defuse. But, I mean, I don't think we have enough fingers collectively between me, you, and our producer Benji to count how many times somebody just walked through a setup.
Dude, I think we could get the whole CCL staff on here, and I don't think anybody would come up with enough for that. I'm at loss of words. I don't even know how to talk over that game.
Yeah, that was something else, to be sure. But it provided some entertainment. That much we know. That's absolutely for sure. Again, these are two teams that are 5-1 and 5-2. They're in a pretty good standing right now to be a top cut in the Pacific Division A. And as we look towards what's coming next, Arizona State up 2-0. There are 3 instances of raid that we could potentially see where Colorado Frost would have to put together a reverse sweep. But for the immediate concern, it's going to be the control on raid coming up next. We'll swap things over to a small break, collect ourselves, and come back for map number 3 after this. Welcome back, everybody. We're jumping into map number 3, the Arizona State Sun Devils Maroon squad, currently up 2-0 after an interesting search and destroy. We changed our attention to control, where both teams have done very well so far in their matches. A perfect setup so far for Arizona State, as they are, at least up until this matchup, perfect 6-0 when it comes to control. But for the Colorado Frost, they're 5-1 in the moto as well. So hopefully some good things to be taken away for both these squads here.
Yeah, especially on Brave, we see so many teams loving this map. We see them all playing it because they know it from Black Ops 2, the old glory days of the game, and they're all going to try and, you know, show their as much kind of promise of the map as they can going forward. Try and give it its respects and do as well as possible because, you know, Arizona State's looking to close this out, and Colorado Frost, they're looking to breathe some new life into this game. So overall, both teams are fighting for something right now. They have some kind of avenue to go ahead and play with, and these teams overall just looking for something to come out of this matchup, whether it's ending it or whether it's continuing it.
Our names at the top currently backwards, as it is Colorado Frost that is trying to get things going, but only having 14 lives available and only a single tick of progress at A. This is the problem that I see largely with teams that are around this caliber, where your first hit towards A, not successful. You spawn towards B, so what do? You go towards B. That's not successful. Where do you spawn? Spawn by A. We go towards A. That's not successful. It's just very back and forth, and it leads to a situation where your lives are dwindling very quickly. Arizona State have only lost 9 total lives so far. Effectini will make sure that no other ticks of progress are gone, and it looks like Arizona State should secure the first defense.
Yeah, right here we see Colorado Frost. We just saw right there where Effectini kind of pushed in and got those kills. It doesn't look like every single member of Colorado Frost just died within 3 inches of each other. Like, they're not spreading themselves out. They're not finding a way to allocate all their guys onto each point and find a way to, you know, confuse this Arizona State team by any means. And that's how they're going to find the win if they want to go ahead and breathe some new life into this game. They have to find a way to put these guys on their toes. They can't put them on a constant, you know, goose chase by any means. They need to go ahead and find a way to strategically set up and make a way to do it. But overall, by the time they get around to thinking, they already barely have any lives left to deal with.
And not only was that a convincing defense for Arizona State, but you also saw double streaks were earned. A very efficient round for the Sun Devils. And now it's going to be on to Colorado. Again, you have to keep in the back of your mind here if you're the Frost that not only do you need to do something similar on your defense, but you're going to have to largely also exist through a potential score streak. So it's going to have to be a convincing start here. You would love to be able to earn maybe even potentially streaks of your own. We'll see if that can come through. But 11-1 for Effectini, 8 in a row for him as he's fully streaked out. And Astros at 7-2 on 3 in a row, potentially trying to gain some inspiration and work towards streaks of his own. As Arizona State comes out of spawn, immediately heads right on over towards B. Neon does get first blood, which is good news. Metro here also to help from the pool. Astro nearly doubles up, but at the end, it will be the Colorado Frost holding onto the B zone.
And Arizona State could have made a really large impact right there on the start if they sat there and made a strong enough push. They don't have the same exact, you know, benefit of us of having that x-ray vision, knowing exactly where guys are, but if they cut onto the fact that only Neon was over there on site, that they could sit there and made a much stronger push, going ahead and probably gotten 2 ticks of the hell down strong enough, because they knew that guys were going to have to come in from mid. They knew somebody was going to have to be on A site, so they knew they were going to have plenty of time to work with. As long as they could just set themselves up right, they could have gone ahead and, you know, cleared out B side if they wanted to.
Pinch on the way. Metro from behind, Neon from the window. And it's not even going to be enough as Astro turns it around, finds himself 2 kills, gets right back onto the zone, and only 60 seconds to play, but he's gotten a second tick of progress. And if he can find maybe just this one more kill, he'll be in a good spot. Proplex tries to give him a go. Not going to happen. 5 in a row for Astro. And now he's single-handedly almost captured the B site. The Colorado Frost are going to chalk it and try to defend A. And Astro, he's going to be pretty darn close to streaks after he gets some extra points off of the capture.
Astro looking super solid right here. We see that, he just held down those couple kills right there on site, and looking at Arizona State overall and how they perform on control. I mean, he may be the guy to do this 6-0. He's maybe sitting there thinking, all right, this is my mode. This is where I like to shine. And we see him doing a great job, being very good about circulating around the map, finding new avenues and way to infiltrate these guys, getting a flank right there, saying, all right, boys, let's make a push. Let's get some time on this because we already got a lockdown on one of them.
This is a bit unnecessary, I think, for these streaks at the moment, but they're going to give them a go anyways, just to see if they can open up space. And to be fair, the Colorado Frost are still in this round. It's an even life count right now. So pending they can just get these Arizona State Sun Devils off the zone, there's an opportunity, but that first task seems to be a pretty difficult one, as there's another elimination from Affectini. He will get onto the zone, and that will likely be the entirety of the A control point taken, and it will be. ASU Maroon up now 2-0 overall, and they still have 3 more streaks to play with.
Wow, super quick here with these guys, It seems like, I was about to refer back to that search and destroy, so let me just go ahead and change my direction while I still can. Just overall, though, watching these guys and how they can sit there, Arizona State almost seeming like control is their element. We saw a lot of ragtag kind of going back, a little rough and hard point. We saw still contemplating on what we saw in search and destroy, but we just see these guys, like when it comes to control, knowing exactly how to root themselves, how to lay themselves out on this map. Maybe it's raid that they feel so comfortable in. Maybe it's just the overall control they feel so comfortable in. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's working, and they're finding their stride for sure when it comes to, this exact matchup.
Yeah, truly are. Again, we mentioned at the very top of the broadcast, this was a pivotal one, largely more for the Colorado Frost, having what is now 3 defeats, I believe, as the not recorded yet as their matchup, I believe, versus Colorado Black, which they lost before this matchup overall. But now they find themselves in a potential position with the 3-0 kind of lingering in front of them at the moment, that they could potentially not be fully safe from getting into the top cut, depending on what happens with the teams that are currently below them in the standings in these last couple of weeks. Affectini and the Arizona State Sun Devils looking very controlled, and it almost feels like the gloves have been taken off, and Arizona State says, all right, we paid you some respect early, but now we just know we're better. We're just going to go ahead and start running at you.
Yeah, and honestly doing a great job at it. As we see, it's 23-17 lives. We do see guys over there on A site, but regardless, Arizona State, they've been winning these gunfights, so when they see that there's so many guys and they know that Colorado has a tendency to sit together and be so close, they just give them a free infiltrate right there. They sit there, they had to get pushed off the point. Arizona popping those kill streaks right there, flooding them out and catching these guys off guard and easily just getting a reestablishment on point, and with only 17 seconds left for these guys to do anything.
Cruise missile on the way in. Astro finds one. Just going to hover this. There's the second. And how about a third? Not going to actually get the full third. So Colorado could jump onto the Z zone and stall the clock a little while longer, but the problem is there are more streaks involved. Itachi from behind tries to deny any exit. Will not be successful in that feat, so now it's down to Neon. The rest of the Frost just to hold strong. 4.8 seconds left. Need to get 2 ticks of progress. The trades are decent. 1v1 for the point. Metro pinched up, though, from behind. And Arizona State's defense will survive through this and win this series 3-0 after a very convincing grade control.
Wow, that's a different team than what we've seen all day. Yeah. I feel like these guys, they finally, I feel like when it comes to control, we saw they finally had something unlocked. Not exactly manipulating the map to where, I usually want these higher caliber teams to. How I keep on talking about finding a way to rotate between both points. How you talked about going, your spawn on A side, move up towards A, spawn on B side, move up towards B. Finding a way to kind of crisscross and find ways to, put these defenders on the tip of their toes. But overall, regardless of how they did that, they knew who they were dealing with. At this point, you caught on to Colorado Frost's whole gist. You know what they're made of. So when you know that you're winning these gunfights, you're already up 2-0. when they're kind of taking that point, and after you see them kind of all being so close to each other over the course of that map, you just think, if we just charge at them and win these gunfights, I mean, this is an easy 3-0, which, it's exactly what they brought to the table.
Yeah, and just looking back just quickly, just to kind of give you a frame of mind, again, we've talked largely about this Colorado Black team being a really strong opponent here in this Pacific Division, not just in Division A, but in the region at large. This Arizona State team, they did lose 3-1 to them, but they had a raid hardpoint and a garrison hardpoint that went 227 to 250, and then 244 to 250 in that matchup versus the Buffs. So again, it would have been a tight one there. It very well could have been the other way around. But still, what does that do? It moves Arizona State Maroon into a very solid spot for the third overall spot in Division A in the Pacific, where the Colorado Frost, they'll be in a little bit of trouble here. I think it puts them in a tie right now with New Mexico State, as NMSU just took down Cal State Long Beach Gold, I believe, over on the Bravo strip. At least they were up 2-0 last I had a chance to check. So that puts Division A in a little bit of a kerfuffle, really, honestly speaking. Yeah. Arizona, they're still a pretty solid team, even though they're 3-3. A bit of a bad week a couple of weeks ago, but they're still contending, and we don't really know what to expect from this Boise State team. So there's still an opportunity, I would say, that Division A is up for grabs when it comes to who are going to be the final teams in that top cut.
Yeah, and especially, going back to these records, when you get to around this stage, you see a lot of more teams evening out, a lot more closer games because of the way these seedings are going to be going at this point. And going forward, this is where it shows that at this point, it seems like we already have the split kind of established. A lot of these teams, you do see some fighting for, the bottom grade of, the top half, and then the lower grade, things of the likes of that. But overall, when you're at a team at this point, you need to contemplate on where you want to be placed. You're going to have a chance either way. So honestly, for some people, we could be seeing some interesting moves from people here saying like, okay, we do have this matchup here. It's going to be rough. So instead, let's place at the upper half of the bottom of the bracket instead of the bottom of the top, because, we're going to try overall, but there's only so much we can do. So maybe that can increase our chances if, we have a rough matchup or we get locked out in a map that we don't usually play.
I'll say this much. Trying to sandbag to put yourself in the bottom cut doesn't do you any favors, because if you're in the top cut, you're for sure going to make the regional qualifier. If you're in that bottom cut and things start to go wrong, you can be outside of playoffs. So I definitely wouldn't suggest that line of thought if you're out there thinking it. But regardless, that does come to a conclusion here for day number 1 of week number 4. Coming up tomorrow, though, again, hopefully after everything with the CDL and Challengers League comes to a conclusion, you're going to have 3 really solid matchups here on the mainstream. You've got the University of North Carolina, Wilmington playing up against High Point University Purple, who is still perfect, by the way, which is surprising. Even their own Twitter account was memeing the fact that, oh, how do we do this? Then you've got Georgia Southern, Eagles Cod Gold going up against Florida State Garnett. Big ranked matchup there. And then Liberty Red playing up against the Akron Zips will be the final matchup here on the Alpha stream. That, again, will be starting at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. But for the evening, we say farewell, and we'll catch you guys tomorrow.